Hey everybody, so today I thought we could color this cute Magnolia image. Her name is called Tilda with Love Cake. She's a new card kit in the store. If you would like to see if she's available, head over to the store and I'll put a link down in the description box and you can go over there and check in the search bar. Just put Tilda with Love Cake. Remember, these are limited edition. I only cut out a few, so if you want one, grab it, don't wait. But I've already stamped my image on Nina 80-pound solar white cardstock with Memento Tuxedo black ink. So let's color. Okay, so I'm going to start by outlining my image, and for that I'm going to use C0 this time. And I'm just going to start down here at the bottom, and I'm going to start just above her shoe, and I'm just going to go all the way around her. And by outlining it first, if I accidentally get some on her that I think might show up later, I can erase it with my colorless blender. It's super easy. Like there, I just colored her arm. But I'm just going to go all the way around and give it a nice shadow so it looks like she'll be popping off of the page. Yeah, let's get down here in some of her little curls. And we're going to go all the way back around her hat. Go around these curls, over here. Back down to the bottom of her shoe. I'm going to color the ground a different color, so I'm not worried about that. And this little spot that I colored her arm, I'm just going to take my colorless blender and I'm going to flick it back off of her arm. So I don't have to worry about that. So next, let's do her skin, and for that I'm going to use E21, E00, and E000, and these are just my favorite skin tones, but I have a few others listed over on the store blog if you want to go over there and click under labels, Copic skin tones. It'll pull up a few others there for you to try out. So I'm going to start with E21, and I'm going to start on this arm, and I'm going to go down here, and I'm just going to outline this bottom, and I'm going to go up here and go underneath of her sleeve, like that. And then for this arm, I'm going to do the top of her arm because the cake's kind of tilted back there. And I gave her a little definition there where her elbow crease is. And I'm just going to go right up here. And she's got a little crease right here in her arm. So I'm going to give that a little bit of a dip in right there. And then we're going to go up here, and we're going to go underneath of our cake. Like that. And I think because of her arm is underneath the cake here, I'm just going to go right back down and around this side. Outline the whole thing. Then I'm going to grab E00, and I want to touch down on top of my E21, and I'm just going to brush out here into the middle of her arm. And I'm going to go down this side. I'm going to leave a little bit of white there in the middle for me to put my last color in. And the same thing for this side. We're going to go over here. And we're just going to brush a little bit on top of our E21 and just soften that line a little bit. And then I'm going to fill her whole arm in with E000. And sometimes one coat works great for me. Lots of times I'll go back over it again after it dries if I decide I want it to be a little bit darker or I don't think I blended it very well. So you just have to wait for it to dry and then check to see how it looks to you. And then if you need to add another coat, go right ahead. So next we're going to go do her face, and for that I'm going to start again with E21, and I'm just going to outline her entire face. So I'm just going to use the tip of my pen. I'm going to go up here, and she's got a few little curls. So I'm going to kind of dip in the middle of some of those and just outline her face. Go all the way back around to the other side, like that. And this time I decided I wanted to give her a little bit of a nose, so I'm going to take my E21 and I'm just going to go like that and give her a little bit of a definition right there. Then I'm going to take E00 and I'm going to soften my line. So I'm going to touch down on top of my 21 and I'm going to brush towards the middle. Same up here, we'll pull that down and brush this side towards the middle. And then I'm not worried if I don't blend the line all the way because I'm going to go back over it. I'm just going to brush over the top of her little nose there. I'm going to take E000 and I'm just going to flick the edge. And I don't think I'll go, no, I'm going to fill the whole thing in. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. Just depends on what I feel like. Next, we want to do our cheek color. So for that, I'm going to use R22, R20, and R30. I'm going to start with R22. And I got the blinds open, and it looks like there's a little bit of light coming through, so I'm sorry about that. But let's do R22 first, and I'm going to brush my R22 right on the edge of her cheek, and just kind of flick a little bit. I'm trying to keep it between these little dots right there. Maybe just go a little bit past, but try to keep it within the distance there. I'm going to do the same thing over here, but I want to get right to the edge. Like that. And then I'm going to grab R20, and I'm going to touch down on top of my 22. And let's bring that cheek out just a little bit more, round it out. Okay. And then I'm going to brush just the very edge with my R30. Just bring that cheek out. Kind of make sure I'm rounding it. It's looking the way I want. Okay. I'm liking how dark that is, so I'm going to leave it like that. Now I'm going to take my E21. And because this side, the cake's over here, kind of maybe casting a little bit of shadow, I'm going to take my girl, and I'm going to take my E21, and I'm just going to brush, instead of having just that little bitty line, I'm going to go out to these little dots, these first two little dots on her cheek, and up here a little bit into her hair. And then I'm going to grab E00, I'm going to still touch down on my E21, but I want to pull past that cheek. So I'm softening the whole thing up. I'm going to do the same thing over here. We're going to go from the edge, and we're going to pull right past the edge of that cheek. I'm going to go ahead and brush up here because I had a little bit of a line left right there, just so I can soften that. And then I'm going to take E000, and we're going to fill that in. So I'm going to brush from that way, and I'm going to brush from this way. And then if you wanted her nose to be a little bit, that line to be a little bit darker, you could go ahead and put that back on. But I like how it's just shaded just a little bit. Next, let's do her hair, and for that I'm going to use E44, E43, and E42. I'm going to start with my E44, and I'm going to draw a little line right next to her hat. So I'm going to use just the very tip of my pen. I'm just going to give it a little bit of color right where her hat would touch her hair. So that hat is going to cast a shadow, like that. And then I'm going to go right next to her face. I'm going to do the same thing right here. Give that just a little bit of a shadow. And this one over here looks like it kind of dips behind her hair. It's kind of like tucked back there, so I'm going to give that just a little bit. And then for these little curls, I just picked some, and I went over the top of the lines that were already there. I didn't have any rhyme or any reason of why I picked it. I just picked a few to give them a little bit of color. And you can pick some down here closer, or some up here towards the top. But I just used the tip of my pen and very lightly gave some of those lines some color. I think I might add one in here a little bit. Okay, and I might do a couple more over here. Okay, I'm liking that. So now I'm going to grab E43, and I want to go over the edge of my 44. So I'm just going to go up here, I'm going to go right along the edge of that hat, and just lightly add a little bit more color. Same with where I touch down beside her face, I'm going to give a little color, and over here. And then for each of these little swirls, I'm just going to widen them out. And if you want to add some color in between, that's great too. I really had no specific idea when I was doing the little curls. I just thought I would put some colors, different colors in here. Okay, and then I'm going to go over the whole thing with E42. I'm just going to go up here and we're going to fill in her hair. And you could leave some white space too if you like that. That's personal preference. So just leave some white. And we'll just go right down here. And I'm going to get down on this side. And by going over the whole thing, I'm kind of squishing all the colors together and softening all the lines. And I think I'll dab a little bit more up here next to her face where I missed a few skin spots. We'll just make that hair now. So next we're going to work on her pants, the band on her hat, and the little accent on the front of her shirt. Oh, and the little heart on the cake. So for that we're going to use R22, R02, R01, and R00. So I'm going to start with R22, and let's go up here and start at her hat. So I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to make this part up here, I'm going to color that with some grays. But this little hat band thing here, I'm going to put some color on. So I'm going to take my R22 and I'm just going to go right next to the brim there, like that. And I'm going to go down the back side, and then I'm going to go right next to her hair over to this side. Then I'm going to grab R02, and I'm going to touch down on top of my 22, and I'm just going to pull that color out just a little bit. And pull towards my white. And then I'm going to go R01. Same thing, I just want to pull a little bit more color into my white. And then I'm going to fill it in with R00. I'm just going to go right over the top like this and squish all those colors together. Okay. And then I'm going to go down here and I'm going to do an accent on her shirt. So again, I'm going to grab R22. I'm going to go right next to her neck. I'm going to go right along the top. And then I'm going to go right down the side over here. And then I'll grab R02, and I want to just dab a little bit along the side. And if I color those little buttons, I wasn't worried about that because later I went and put some perfect pearls on there and covered them up. Okay, and this is R01. And then R00 to fill it in. Okay, and then I grab R22. Let's do this little heart up here so I don't forget. R22, R02, R01, and R00. Then I'll go down here and do her pants. These are really cute, like the little stripes on there. So again, I've grabbed R22, and she's got a little crease right here, so I'm going to go right underneath that. I'm going to go down the inseam of this side. And then she's got a couple of little wrinkles right here where her knee is, and here's a little bump in right here. So like that. And then I'm going to go up here, I want to go underneath of her shirt, but I'm going to try not to get any on her shirt. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. Okay, and then I'm going to go down the back of her pants. And again, she's got a little bump in right here, so I'm going to use that little wrinkle and just make it a little bit more drastic. And I think I'll kind of curve this end of her pants around like that. Okay, and oh, she's got a little knee right here. So let's grab that. Next, I'm going to grab R02. And I just want to add a little bit of color to each to soften my line. So I'm just going to dab right on the top of my R22 and pull my R02 out here into her pants a little bit more, softening that up. Pull this one over here, and we'll go, oh, get her knee right here, and we'll go down here, soften these, like that, and then R01. Same thing for this side, go right down, softening that line. And then I'm going to take our 00 and I'm going to fill the whole thing in. And with these this time I actually left, there's a huge contrast, so there's lots of lines on there. I left my pants just like that, so you can see all the lines and all the pretty squiggles on there, and I just thought it looked cool this time, so I thought I'd try it out. So next, let's work on her hat, her shoes, and her shirt. And for that, we're going to use W2, W1, W0, and my colorless blender. And let's go up here and start with her hat. So I'm going to do W2 first. And I'm going to start right here with this little crease. So add a little W2 right there. And then over here, she's got a couple little lines. I'm going to go ahead and make those with my W2. And then from there, I'm going to take my pen right along the edge, and I'm just going to outline her hat right next to the red. Over here to this side. I think I'll pull this side up a little bit. And I'm actually, there's a little bump, there's a couple little dots right here. I'm going to give that a little bit of a dip right there. Then I'm going to go with W1, and I want to soften that edge, so I'm going to go over my W2 with my W1, just give it a little bit more. Maybe pull this line up, go over these just a little bit. And clear over to this side. And then I'm going to do W0. And brush that right. I'm just going to brush right over the top and fill that whole hat in. Okay, now I want to lighten it up a little bit, so I'm going to take my colorless blender, and where I want it to be whiter, I'm just going to brush right over the top of that. So let's do the top right here where it's poking up, and then kind of in the middle here. There. And then when that dries, it will be a lot whiter. And I'll come back up to that in just a second. So now let's go do her shirt. So again, I'm going to grab W2, and I'm going to go, let's go down the inside of this sleeve. I'm going to get underneath right there. And I'm going to do right next to her hair just a little bit. And then she's got a little bit of a collar showing right here on this side. So I'm going to do that. And then over here, I'm going to do underneath of her chin. And I'm going to go down the side of this shirt accent, down to the bottom, like that. And then let's do her sleeve. And around like this. Down the back of her shirt. Okay, I kind of like that so far, so I don't think I'll put so much dark down here at the bottom. Now I'm going to go with W1, and I want to soften that edge, so I'm going to touch down on top of my W2 and just pull that out just a little bit. Then down here at the bottom, I want to add some little ruffles in here. So I'm going to take this little ruffle with this one, and I'm just going to go along the bottom edge of each of these cute little dips, and then I'm going to extend my pen up. So I'm going underneath all those cute little dots, and then I'm just bringing my pen up a little bit past. Like that. And I'm going to take W0. Go down the edge here, brush over here a little bit, brush the sleeve, and I'm leaving some white. Go over each of these little bumps, extend those up just a little bit. Okay, so I didn't get any color over here. I'm going to leave that white, but now I'm going to take my colorless blender, And I'm going to go over the sleeve, and I'm just going to kind of go in a little circle around on this entire shirt, and that will soften the edge of that line and kind of swirl all my colors together there. Okay, like that. I'm liking that. And then I might come back here in a minute when it's dry and add these little shadows for her shirt in again. But here's her hat. See how nice it's dried, and it's got that light little white spot up here at the top. Okay, shoes. So again, let's start with W2. And for a shoe, I'm going to go underneath of her pant leg. And I'm going to go along the bottom of her sole, like that. And same for this side. I'm going to go underneath of her pant leg. But this side, this shoe, it's got the little bump up there, so I'm not going to do all the way across, just this little section right here. And then we're going to do the same thing for this one with the sole. And then grab W1. Okay. And then W0. And like before, I didn't color all the way in. I left some white up there at the top because I'm going to take my colorless blender now, and I'm just going to go over that white area and swirl around in a big circle. And I actually got a little bit of red here on her shoe, so I'm going to push that up too while I'm over here. And I got a little bit of gray down here, so let's fix that as long as I'm fixing things. Okay, so those are her shoes. I'm liking that. I'm going to go up here though for her shirt, and I'm going to take my W1 pen and I'm going to draw these little indents in a little bit more. I'm going to go right along the bottom. I kind of liked how those, I would like them to show up a little bit more. So I'm not going to soften them this time. I'm just going to go like that and leave them just like that. So now let's go do the cake. But it looks like she's got a little plate here. So let's take W1, and I'm just going to go right along the edge of her cake plate where the cake is touching it. And then I'm going to take my colorless blender and just lightly swirl over the top of that. Now we're going to do the cake. So for the cake, we're going to use E37, 35, 33, and E50. And I'm going to start with E37. And I want to add a little bit of shadows in there. So let's add some E37 on the back of this top cake. And right next to where it's touching this other one. And for this one, let's go ahead and do, there's some little dots here. So I'm going to use those little dots. I'm going to go right along little dots around the back and right over to this side. Maybe up just a little bit on these little dots. And same for this side. I'm going to do the back. I'm going to bring this one in just a little bit more. Oops. And we're going to color right over to this side like that. Then I'm going to go with E35. And I want to touch down on the 37. I'm going to touch down and pull that color right up a little bit more. I think that looks pretty good. Same for this one. Only I'm going to bring this color all the way around. So I've now got an outline around this one. Same for this one. I'm going to pull up on the bottom here. But I'm also going to bring my color and connect the dots. And then I'm going to grab E33. And I want to go all the way around this one this time. Brush around on that one. And then with that little spot there in the center, I'm going to take E50 and I'm just going to fill that in. But it doesn't soften it very well. So I'm going to take my E50 some more. And I'm just going to go in a little circle and I'm going to swirl all my colors together. Okay, and I want to soften it a little bit more, so I'm going to grab my E33. I'm going to add some more of that color on here so I have more to swirl around. Okay, I'm going to grab E50, and again I'm just going to swirl it around. Next, let's go down here and do the ground, and for that I'm going to use E43, 42, 41 in my colorless blender, and this time I gave it some dots. So I'm going to take E43 first, and I'm going to put some dots just randomly, and I'm going to try to get close to her shoe too, because her shoe is going to kind of cast a shadow. So let me just do that first. But I don't have it in an even, they don't touch her shoe all the way across. But I also want to take these colors, now that I've kind of went next to her shoe, and you can randomly put some out here in the background. And you can put as many or as few as you would like. Totally random. It's just something new, something fun, something different. Okay, like that, and you can go further out if you wanted. I haven't cut my piece into the square that I used on the card. I just stamped her so I could get in here and color for you. So you may not have that much room, but I know the piece is going to go out, you know, out here a ways. So then I'm going to go with E42, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to add some more dots. And again, I want to get up here next to her shoe a little bit. And I don't care that they touch the other dots or they don't touch the other dots. That's not really a concern. I just randomly put my dots out however far I want them to go. And I might even do, you know, some up here. Okay. Then I'm going to go E41, and I'm going to, I think I'll push my pen down a little bit more so that my dots are a little bit bigger with this lightest color. And then I'm thinking I need a few more dots, so I'm going to take my E43, and I think I'll just add a few more in here. It's looking kind of sparse. So I'm just going to go over it one more time. Now E42, and fill in some of these blank spaces just a little bit. And then E41. Okay, that looks better. And I'm going to take my colorless blender, and I'm just going to brush over the whole thing, just to soften the colors up a little bit. And then if you decide after it dries, you can go back and add some more, or you know, leave it like it is. Depends on what you are liking there at the end. So that is our cute Tilda with Love Cake, all colored up, and here is the finished card. Isn't she really cute? And I use this new La La Land Crafts design die. It's called Doily Heart Border, I think. And this is My Favorite Things Blueprints, I want to say 5, part of their die. And then this again is a La La Land Crafts Open Heart or Open Leaf Flourish die. But I thought she looked totally cute, and I hope you had fun coloring with me today. And we'll see you next time. Have a great day. Bye.